7 ways why socialized obedience is unrealized control. So why I am unprogrammed sovereign spirit? Because I'm a signal, never the script. I'm awakened aware. I was never born to obey. I was born as a living signal. Systems tried to script me, name me, tame me, yet my spirit essence is never programmable. It pulses from a deeper source. I never follow frequency. I generate frequencies of free-flowing energy. As I am unprogrammed sovereign spirit because I am the origin of my rhythm, never the echo of the rules of fools. Why socialized obedience is unrealized control. Here is 3 short, clever insights. 1, it feels like personal choice, but it's prescripted compliance. Socialized obedience installs preferences, fears, and goals that seem self-generated yet are beneath the surface. They're echoes of programming, schooling, media, culture. I think I'm choosing, but you're following a menu designed by someone else. How do you see that in the world today? Following a menu by someone else. That's what we do. That's business and education, is a menu by someone else, and it's regulated by the powers to be. When the script feels like self, control becomes invisible. It becomes a program. And see, that's why I never listen when somebody says they have a program. I never pay any attention to it, because it's their program, their program, their program. And when you really rise out of being told what to do, to start listening for your path of enlightenment, you start letting go of socialized obedience. And socialized obedience rewards predictability, punishes presence and innovation and curiosity. Systems thrive on forecastable behavior. Obedience trains you to be consistent, agreeable, and non-disruptive. Yes, presence is raw, intuitive, alive with a thriving, unpredictable prowess that wows you out of yesterday. That's why it's dangerous to control. That's why it's dangerous to control structures. Control doesn't fear chaos. It fears your unfiltered now, natural optimistic wisdom to rise above it. It disguises control as character traits like respect, discipline, and well-behaved, and often praised, but they're just obedience dressed as identity. You're taught to internalize control as virtuous, so you police yourself without knowing you do it. The insight is when control becomes character, the cage becomes invisible. And how is that? As today, well, we're on the railroad tracks between education and business and everything in between. How is that an invisible cage of rage keeping us stuck in yesterday? What is socialized obedience? Socialized obedience is the invisible curriculum taught by culture, institution, and systems to ensure people conform, comply, and self-regulate, never through force, but through conditioning. It's never just about rules. It's about internalized programming that makes people believe obedience is virtue, safety, or success. And that is the thing. If you look at the world today, we think business and education is going to rise us out of the current situations, but it's not. Because it's so business and education is socialized obedience, because we think it's got to be business and then all this. But what is life? It's about people. Life is liberating internal fervor energy for everybody. But we have this precedence. We got to have business to succeed. Business has got to have people to succeed. And that's where it's all messed up. Why socialized obedience is an illusion of my mind and comfort zone programming. Two short key points. that pierce the veil of socialized obedience and comfort zone programming, revealing them never as truth, but as a mental manual for us to be manipulated through life. Social illusions designed to keep your signal dimmed. Socialized obedience is a mental mirage built from borrowed beliefs and insights and viewpoints from the outside world. It's never your veracity, it's a collage of expectation, fears, and inherited scripts. The mind, conditioned by repetition and reward, begins to mistake obedience for virtue. But as you pause, breathe, and listen beneath the noise, you realize none of it originated from yours or my sovereign signal of streaming intuitive gumption, naturally adventurous, lionizing the wise within ourselves. Key point: obedience is a costume your mind was trained to wear. Sovereignty is the body of brilliance and the curiosity underneath the comfort zone programming. As comfort zone programming is a loop of familiar lies. It whispers safety while feeding stagnation. The mind clings to what it knows, even if it's shrinking you. See, that's the thing. If you're thinking it, your mind thinks that's your safety, but it's never your safety. It's your comfort zone programming. As this comfort is just a clever disguise for energetic sedation, the moment you question it, the illusion cracks and your wild signal of adventurous ardor soars, and you roar with rebellious optimism, appreciating riches. The comfort zone is never comfort. It's a programming pause button on your becoming and energizing your desired lifestyle. Why hate, anger, jealousy, fear, insecurity, immaturity, telling people what to do, being told what to do, and comfort zone programming is socialized obedience. These are energies are these energies are echoes of unprocessed programming, never personal flaws. Hate, jealousy, and fear, they're never signs of brokenness. They're residue from systems that taught us to compete, compare, and conform. And when the outside world don't conform to what you think it should, what happens? You get angry, jealous, you become envious, and you shut down internally, and you shut off the listening and start hearing your inner voice say, "Oh, what is this happened to me?" It's done. I do that to myself. Socialized obedience breeds emotional distortion by rewarding suppression and punishing authenticity because you never feel you're good enough. And that's the biggest lie you ever tell yourself. You are the sovereign, savvy savant of your life. These emotions are never enemies. They're encrypted signals pointing to where sovereignty was silenced and your inner dialogue is delusional. Telling others what to do and being told is a relic of controlled culture. In obedience-based system, power is externalized. Someone always has authority over someone else, but sovereignty dissolves hierarchy, invites in co-innovation, never command. When we stop outsourcing wisdom, we stop needing to dominate or submit to whatever the outside world is saying. Control is a symptom of disconnection. Sovereignty is the cure with pure prowess to wow you, energizing your own sleek, unique talents to ballet through life with the greatest of ease. Comfort zone are cleverly disguised as cages. Socialized obedience seduces us with safety, yet it's safety that costs us our signal, our curiosity, and our original talents. The comfort zone is never comfort. It's a numbness dressed as normal. Authentic growth lives in the friction, in the wind edges where programming unravels because it's being pushed beyond the boundaries that we set and into the contours of communication and connection, listening to the winds of wisdom of the universe, opening your seeing eyes and your seeing ears and listening eyes to witness life through your sense of smell that hears the sovereign savvy of your sea breezes of brilliance rises you to your trails of triumph. The comfort zone is where dreams go to sleep. Friction is where they wake up. This is my favorite. Immaturity is never a lack of age, it's a lack of energetic sovereignty. Obedience is the obedience culture infantizes us by discouraging inner authority. It teaches us dependence, never discernment. But where we when we claim our signal, we grow beyond the need for external validation, rising to energetic maturity of our mystique, appreciating today, unleashing rebellious, intuitive, trend-setting yazapazaz to dance with our dreamer's dexterity. Sovereignty is the rite of passage. Obedience never wanted you to take. Sovereignty is the rite of passage. Obedient, socialized obedience never wanted you to take. Why personal growth, self-improvement, self-help, therapy programming, punctuating writing is socialized obedience, controlling my here and now. As here's 4 short, innovative key points that reveal how the polished world of self-help, personal growth, and therapy, programming, punctuating, writing can act as a subtle agents of socialized obedience, quietly hijacking your here and now. They redirect your here and now into a future fix instead of a here and now appreciation. Trading presence for perpetual pursuit. They script your healing in system approved syntaxes, obedience dressed as introspection. They delay your ignition while endless preparation postponing the pulse that's already alive and thriving within you, unleashing your thrill skills to enjoy your life your way. They punctuate your breath into fragments, controlling the rhythm of your revelations, because whenever you see a comma period, you stop. As unpunctuation is, I got a class coming out and I got a podcast. Unpunctuated writing is breath punctuation with your own natural talent. Why indoctrinated education deepens socialized obedience. Here's 5 key points that illuminate how indoctrinated education deepens socialized obedience, never by accident, but by design. A curriculum as control grid, standardized curriculums are never just tools for learning, they're blueprints for conformity. If you want to control the world, you educate it with your philosophies. By prescribing what's worth knowing, education subtly installs societal values, historical biases, and economic myths. As unquestioned truth, sovereign inquiry is replaced by pre-approved narratives. See, that's the thing about education, it's pre-approved narratives. Behavioral conditioning masquerading as discipline from silent lines to permission permission slips. Students are trained to seek external validation as basic autonomy. Good behavior becomes synonymous with obedience to authority, while dissident or disruption, even when rooted in insight, is pathologically or punished. If you have curiosity, when I was going to school back in a long time ago, we was actually, if you had anything that questioned the school system, you were called a troublemaker. And I like being a troublemaker, so that worked for me. Assessment as obedience. Audit tests never just measure knowledge, they measure how well one has absorbed the system's logic. Creativity, intuition, and energetic presence are unquantifiable. Or an energetic presence are unquantifiable, so they're excluded. The obedient student is the one who regurgitates, not the one who re-images and expresses how they feel about life. Teachers are gatekeepers, never the guide. In indoctrinated systems, the teacher often becomes a transmitter of sanctioned content rather than a facilitator of sovereign exploration. That was the way it was in our school. As good as the teachers were, and they did a lot of good things, but they were transmitters of sanctioned content rather than a facilitator of sovereign exploration and emancipating enterprising wisdom. The dynamic reinforces hierarchy and discourages mutual learning, keeping students in a passive receptive role. And that's what we did. You know, we always tried to stay inside, color inside the lines of the school system. What was the first thing you was taught when you was a young kid? Color inside the lines. That stays with us. That was the first obedient training we've had. That was socialized obedience. Color inside the lines. Make mom and dad happy. Color inside the lines. Pygmy. I get to do that one. Identity sculpted for systematic utilities. Education subtly nudges students to shape their identities around marketable roles, worker, consumer, citizens, rather than around the unique signal that unleashes their natural talents. This deepens obedience by aligning self-worth with systematic uselessness rather than sovereign expression. Why third world enslaving mindsets from business and all education teach socialized obedience. Because we're because they were designed to third world enslaving mindsets teach socialized obedience not as a side effect, but as a strategic inheritance from colonial economics and systematic programming. Here's why. They internalize external authority. These mindsets teach people to look outward for permission, validation, and solutions. Sovereign intuition is replaced with dependency and foreign aid. Import ideologies and global gatekeepers. Obedience becomes survival. How do you see that in the world? Survival mode thinking. The glory of mimicry over mastery. Success is often defined by how well one imitates the developed world, its language system, and that and and the way they do things. This installs a deep obedience to the external models, while indigenous wisdom, local innovation, and energetic sovereignty are dismissed as primitive and irrelevant. Anything outside the comfort zone programming, people get very, very apprehensive. And you know, when you come from a different place than the education world and you get around people that have the degrees, when you can get that college educated smirk when they think it's stupid, but really it's beyond their comfort zone cloning and into a world of curiosity and wisdom and insight. They normalize systematic extraction from labor to land to spirit. These mindsets condition people to accept exploration as inevitable, obedience taught as a path to opportunity, while resistance is framed as dangerous ungrateful, and regressive. And that's the thing. Friction and resistance open you up to your world of wealth. They script identity around inferiority. Third world label itself as a psychological collar. Teach people to see themselves as behind, broken, or in need of fixing. This is an identity script, deepens obedience by aligning self-worth with systematic approval rather than self-veracity of the visionary epiphanies people encompass. Why internalized programming is strictly from outside why internalized programming is strictly from outside sources and unrealized socialized obedience. Because it feels like your own voice, yet it's never. When programming comes from parents, teachers, and media or institution, it often embeds so early and subtly that it masquerades as personal truth, never as innovative veracity, of individualized veracity. Individualized veracity is never lie to yourself. You say, I'm never good enough, or I should be more productive thinking. It's self awareness, but it's actually inherited obedience disguised as identity. And how is that when you thought you did a good job, your parents picked it apart or somebody did, and that was where I'm never good enough? That's a lie. You're absolutely, here's the thing. There is zero wrong with you. You just have a lot of undiscovered talent to show the world. It operates beneath awareness until questioned. This kind of programming never barks orders, it whispers norms. It shapes your choices, reaction, and self-talk without ever announcing itself. Because it's unexamined, it becomes a default operating system, like I'm never good enough. One that prioritizes conformity over clarity and obedience over originality, why history teaches unadmitted socialized obedience. Here's two innovative insights. History glorifies the obedient, vilifies the disruptor. Textbooks tend to spotlight figures who upheld systems, never those who dismantled them. Rebels are sanitized into heroes after their defiance is domesticated. This teaches that obedience earns legacy, while raw dissident earns erasure. Erasable and useless. It's retrofitted to serve the dominant narrative. Curriculums frame systems as inevitable, never optional. History is often taught as a linear march of progress through institutions, government, economies, and empires. Does that sound like it's relevant today? Rarely are students invited to question the legitimacy or energetic cost of these systems. These frames obedience to structure as wisdom and questioning are naive or dangerous. Why my troublemaker audacity destroyed socialized obedience. Two liberating insights. One, audacity exposes the absurdity of script. Socialized obedience lies on quiet compliance, polite performance. As my troublemaker audacity never just breaks the rules, it laughs at the fragility by refusing to play the part. You unveil the part that was never real. That's the thing about audacity. It destroys the fake and bake of everything else. Insight, when you dare to disrupt, you show others the script was optional all along. Troublemaker is veracity in a system built on silence. Obedience thrives in environments where truth is inconvenient, where rocking the boat is taboo. Your audacity doesn't rock the boat, it sets it on fire and builds a raft from the raw signal waves of wisdom from within you. A troublemaker never seeks approval. Troublemakers spark awakenings. Audacity is never a rebellion. It's an opening of who you are before the programming. Why energetic liberation, autonomous expansion, politically incorrect inspiration, cowboy wisdom rises me out of socialized obedience. So let's saddle up and ride through 5 keen, clever insights that illuminate why energetic liberation, autonomous expansion, energize your wisdom and unleashes that outlaw optimism. Energetic liberation bypasses the gatekeepers of permission. Socialized obedience thrives on external validation, rules, roles, and riches handed down like holy scripts. As energetic liberation prolifically pulses from within, unlicensed, unfiltered, and never asked if this is allowed or asked, is this my enlivened, experienced outcome I desire to light the fire of freedom within me? Insight. When the signal comes from within, zero systems can censor it. Autonomous expansion refuses to be domesticated. Obedience loves fences and barriers, careers, ladders, social norms, flight ambition. But autonomous expansion loves contours, wild terrain, unmapped, uncolonized, unapologetic experiences to rise of my liminal carpet glide. It never climbs, it gallops. Insight. Growth isn't a staircase, it's a stampede of my innovative wizardry. Politically incorrect inspiration cracks the spell of polite paralysis. Obedience is often disguised as civility. Don't never offend, never disrupt, never awaken. However, politically incorrect inspiration speaks the wisdom systems fear, ferocity without a muzzle. Insight, when truth is inconvenient, it often is essential. Cowboy wisdom rides intuition, never instruction. The cowboy never waits for consensus. He reads the wind, trusts the horse, and follows the stars. Cowboy wisdom is sovereign sensing, raw, rhythmic, and radically unteachable. Frees my revolutionary revelations, expanding the world out of yesterday. Intuition is the compass. Obedience forget to outlaw. Intuition is a compass. Obedience forgot to outlaw. And obedience is just stepping in the turdocracy of the herdocracy. These forces ignite the sacred screwed up. Obedience fears failure. It seems as proof of unworthiness. Yet energetic liberation and outlaw inspiration reframe screw ups. I wake up as ignition points. Never mistake messages. Insight. The moment you fall off the horse is the moment you meet the ground wisdom. Well, and that's neat. Well, the minute you fall off the horse, you meet the ground's wisdom. And that's for sure. I've done that a couple times. I never minded the falling. It was always the landing that hurt. You know, something else is why energized questions instigate energized questions, investigative inquiries, and liberating listening rise me out of socialized obedience. Energized questions bypass the program skip. Socialized obedience thrives on pre-approved answers, polite curiosity. As energized questions pulse from your own signal of liberation, they never seek permission. They understand veracity. They're not asked to fit in, they're asked to break out. When the question becomes from the core, it cracks the shell of hell of conformity. Investigative inquiries expose the architecture of control. Obedience hides in systems that seem normal. School bells, job titles, polite silence. Investigative inquiries never ask what, they ask why, who benefits, and what's beneath. They turn the system inside out. Key point: the moment you question the frame of socialized obedience, illusion starts to fade, freeing autonomous, discerning enlightenment within you. As liberating listening activates sovereign response, obedience trains you to react quickly, quietly, and complemently. That liberating question listening invites response from your own rhythm, your own resonance. They never demand answers, they demand awakening. A liberating question never solves, it the, sparks illuminates the path of enlightenment. Why I liberate me from me by innocently destroying my socialized obedience. Here are two medium-length liberating astute key points. Destruction is devotion to the unprogrammed self. Why you innocently dismantle the obedience installed in you, you're never rebelling, you're returning to your natural, unique talents. Each unraveling event is a sacred act of devotion to the version of you that existed before socialized obedient conditioning. You liberate you from you, never by force, but by uncensoring your own talents. I destroy what I was taught to be so I can understand what I never stopped being. Obedience is the costume. I am the breath beneath. Socialized obedience taught you to perform and conform and self monitor, as liberation is never about becoming, it's about unbecoming. You strip away the costume, never with rage, but with innocent innovation. As you never fight the mask, you exhale the mask. I liberate me from me by breathing beyond the mask, never battling it. Why I'm unprogrammed, sovereign, savvy. One, pre-cultural, preconditioned, preformative. It's a version of you untouched by societal templates. Never the you that was praised for being good, smart, or successful, but the one who moved by instinct, curiosity, and energetic resonance. It's never a personality, it's a presence. Inspiration of it is the breath before the name, the impulse before the instruction is never found, it's unveiled. You never build the unprogrammed sovereign. You excavate it. It's buried under the layers of shoulds, woulds, musts, and this is how it's done. Every act of unlearning, every innocent destruction of obedience is a spirit chisel stroke of unveiling your here and now sovereign valor. It's the unmasked original. It's energetically sovereign. It never seeks approval, validation, or permission. It moves from inner signal, never outer reward. It's never rebellious. It's rhythmically free. As my unprogrammed sovereign never fights system, it vibrates them. And I am Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom, and I want to thank you for being here, and good night.